On the edge of a forgotten village stood an ancient cemetery known as Raven Hill. The graveyard was older than anyone could remember. Weathered tombstones leaned crookedly beneath twisted trees, while thick fog often covered the grounds after sunset. Most villagers avoided the cemetery at night, not because they feared thieves, not because they feared wild animals. They feared the guardian. For decades, stories spoke of a mysterious figure carrying an old lantern through the cemetery after midnight. Some believed he was a ghost. Others claimed he was a cursed soul trapped between life and death. Nobody knew the truth. Only one man worked there. His name was Samuel Graves. Samuel had served as the cemetery caretaker for nearly 20 years. Every evening he locked the iron gates and walked among the graves carrying a brass lantern passed down from previous caretakers. The job was lonely, yet Samuel never complained. The cemetery felt peaceful, at least during the day. One cold autumn evening, dark clouds covered the moon while thick fog rolled across Raven Hill. Samuel finished cleaning fallen leaves from several old graves and prepared to leave. Then he noticed something strange. Fresh footprints crossed the muddy path. They appeared suddenly between two rows of tombstones. Samuel frowned. Nobody had entered through the gate. The footprints continued deeper into the cemetery. Curious, he followed them. The trail led toward the oldest section of Raven Hill, where crumbling graves rested beneath giant black trees. There stood a tomb unlike the others, a massive stone mausoleum sealed with rusted chains. Samuel had never seen it open. Yet tonight, one of the chains hung broken. The caretaker approached slowly. His lantern illuminated strange symbols carved into the stone doorway. Then he heard it. A whisper, soft, barely audible, coming from inside the mausoleum. Samuel stepped backward. The whisper came again, this time louder. And suddenly, the heavy stone door slowly creaked open by itself. Darkness waited beyond. Something inside had awakened. Samuel could barely breathe as the mausoleum door stood open before him. Cold air poured from the darkness inside. The whispering continued. Hundreds of distant voices speaking words he could not understand. The caretaker raised his lantern carefully and stepped closer. The light revealed an old staircase descending beneath the cemetery. He had worked at Raven Hill for 20 years. Yet he never knew tunnels existed below the graves. Samuel hesitated. Every instinct told him to leave immediately, but curiosity pulled him forward. Slowly, he descended the stairs. The air became colder with every step. Ancient stone walls surrounded him, while strange symbols covered the ceiling. The tunnel stretched far beneath the cemetery. Then he discovered something shocking. Old lanterns lined the walls. Dozens of them. Every lantern remained lit. Someone had been maintaining them. Recently, Samuel followed the passage until it opened into a massive underground chamber. At the center stood a black stone altar, and beside it rested an ancient journal. Dust covered its pages. The caretaker carefully opened it. The first entry dated back more than 100 years. It described the creation of Raven Hill Cemetery. But later entries became darker. They spoke of shadows appearing after midnight, voices beneath the graves, and a guardian chosen to protect something hidden below the cemetery. Samuel's hands trembled. The final entry ended with a warning. If the lantern ever goes dark, the gate will open. Suddenly, every lantern in the chamber flickered. The whispers stopped. Silence filled the darkness. Then somewhere behind Samuel, footsteps echoed through the tunnel. Slow, heavy, coming closer. Someone else was underground. The footsteps echoed through the underground chamber. Samuel turned slowly toward the tunnel entrance. His lantern shook in his hand. The sound grew closer. Step, step, step. Then a figure emerged from the darkness. An old man dressed in black robes. His face looked pale and weathered. In one hand, he carried a lantern identical to Samuel's. The stranger stopped beside the altar. For several moments, neither man spoke. Then the old man finally smiled. I wondered when you would find this place. Samuel stared in confusion. Who are you? The stranger lowered his lantern. I am the guardian. The caretaker remembered the journal instantly. The guardian of Raven Hill. The legend was real. The old man slowly approached. My family protected this cemetery for generations, he explained. And now the responsibility passes to you. Samuel shook his head. I don't understand. The guardian pointed toward the stone floor. Deep cracks had begun spreading across the chamber. Dark smoke escaped through them. The old man's expression became serious. Something beneath the cemetery is waking. Suddenly, the ground trembled violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. The lanterns flickered again. Then a terrifying sound echoed from below. A growl. Deep. Ancient. Not human. The guardian closed his eyes. For 100 years the lantern kept the gate sealed. Samuel looked at his own lantern. The flame had become weaker. Smaller. As if something invisible was draining its light. The growling beneath the floor grew louder. And the cracks continued spreading across the chamber. Whatever slept below Raven Hill Cemetery was trying to escape. The underground chamber shook violently. Stone blocks cracked apart, while black smoke poured from the growing fissures in the floor. Samuel and the guardian stepped backward. The growling below had become deafening. Something enormous moved beneath the cemetery. The guardian raised his lantern. Its flame burned brighter than before. For a moment the cracks stopped spreading. But only for a moment. Then the old man collapsed to one knee. He looked weaker suddenly. Older. The lantern chooses only one guardian, he whispered. Samuel finally understood. The old man had protected Raven Hill his entire life. Now his strength was fading. The responsibility was passing on. The guardian handed Samuel the ancient lantern. The moment Samuel touched it, the flame exploded into brilliant golden light. The chamber illuminated instantly. The black smoke retreated. The growling became furious. Then the floor shattered. A gigantic shadow emerged from below. Its body seemed made from darkness itself. Glowing eyes opened within the smoke. The creature stared directly at Samuel. The gatekeeper. The thing imprisoned beneath Raven Hill for centuries. The guardian had spent generations keeping it trapped. Now the prison was breaking. The creature pushed against the opening. Stone exploded around it. The cemetery above trembled. Graves cracked. Trees bent beneath powerful winds. Samuel raised the lantern toward the monster. Golden light filled the chamber. The creature screamed. For the first time, it retreated. But Samuel knew it would not stop. Not until either the gate closed forever, or the creature escaped into the world above. The final battle beneath Raven Hill Cemetery had begun. The gatekeeper surged from the darkness while black smoke filled the underground chamber. Samuel stood alone holding the ancient lantern. Behind him, the old guardian watched silently. His duty was ending. Samuel's was beginning. The creature lunged forward. Its glowing eyes burned through the darkness. The caretaker lifted the lantern higher. Golden light exploded across the chamber. The monster screamed. The shadows surrounding its body began breaking apart. The ancient symbols carved into the walls suddenly glowed. One by one, they illuminated the entire underground complex. The prison was awakening. The gatekeeper fought desperately against the light. But the lantern had accepted its new guardian. Samuel stepped toward the creature. The flame burned brighter than ever before. The monster slowly retreated toward the broken gate beneath the floor. The symbols glowed intensely. Stone walls moved. Ancient mechanisms hidden for centuries began closing once again. The prison sealed itself. The creature released one final roar. Then darkness swallowed it completely. The gate closed. Silence returned. The battle was over. When dawn arrived, Samuel climbed back to the surface. The cemetery stood peaceful beneath the morning sun. The old guardian was gone. Only his lantern remained. Years later, villagers still reported seeing a lone figure walking among the graves after midnight. A caretaker carrying a glowing lantern through the fog, protecting Raven Hill Cemetery, watching over the dead, guarding the gate beneath the graves. And whenever strange shadows appear between the tombstones during dark nights, locals simply whisper the same words. The guardian is still watching.